Yeah. Here we are at the conversation. A little late, but we're here with a goody. Let me tell you something. The weekend was hot and popping, and the graffiti panel was awesome. The mural was even better. There's a lot going on. And today I got a good friend of mine here that's gonna give you some information, and maybe, you know what, I'm gonna say it this way. Guarantee you're not gonna know. Guarantee you're not gonna know. Right? And I never said that on this show. A guarantee. But you're not gonna know. All right, I may have to slow it. We may have to do, see, there are different speeds in a turntable. And he's on 78. You remember the 78? All right, so there was the 45. That was the little 45 single. There was 33. That was the album. And then there was, for those people that don't even understand, 78, a whole new spectrum of playing a record. For those that don't know what a record is, okay? Vinyl record, and it was a 78 speed. So Jerry's always at 78, so we're gonna try to bring him down to 33 so all you guys can understand. And you know, and just join the chat room. I'm gonna start blasting this thing and letting people know that we on. And that's what we do. The conversation today. A little late, but a goody. And you're gonna be very amazed about what happens today. And let me see if I can get this thing done. Excuse me as I multitask here. So look, Ty Dre's not here, Gary's not here, and Rock got to take care of a couple of things. So guess what? I'm here. All right? I do not play around when it comes to this stuff. You know, we're going to be consistent. We're going to follow through and all that. And Rock was just like, man, go ahead. Do what you got to do. Press this button, press that button. That's it. That's all you got to do. You're good to go. And that's what we're doing. So I brought Jerry Fast Feet Fontanez here. And Jerry has a wealth of information. And I think I'm going to have my man over here. E, get over here. When this guy comes back, if he don't sit in that chair, you're going to be sitting in that chair, E. Yeah.
The engineer, yo.
So, you don't have the claps now.
I'm telling you.
All right. We're going to have it in a little bit. I'm over here sharing this to everybody to let everybody know that we on.
The clap.
All right.
That's not good.
I'm gonna share it to Eric so Eric can let people know that, you know, we are on, and he can send it to other people. So that way he has that. Yeah, hold on. Didn't you call me, E?
Yeah, should have his number.
I'm gonna send it to you, Feet. Yeah, just lower the volume, that's all. I'm gonna send it to you. Fast Feet, there you go. And you can share that to other people, what I sent to you. All right, and we are on now, and let me go here. And I'm sorry that we're doing all this stuff right now.
We're live.
We're live, but yeah, it is what it is. This is what it is. It's the conversation. And we want everybody to start sharing and getting on. There we go. It's starting to happen now. Okay, so today is, what is it, Gay Pride Parade? Or is it the Pride Parade? It's called the Pride Parade. Pride Parade. Today's the Pride Parade. So they're marching down Fifth Avenue. And they're having a lot of fun, and congratulations to all of you that are at that parade. I know it's a long time coming and all that, and now you guys are doing your thing, and, you know, long overdue. And I heard that there's like 2 million people out there.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're out there, you know, celebrating, and why not? So now let me introduce you to Jerry Fast Feet Fontanez, and if you can, E, can you come over here? Because I don't think that gentleman's coming back.
No, he's not.
Sit right there. We're going to test something. Okay? So, E, press one to see that big cube right there on the board? Them little, right, press one, no, right here. Press one of them, see what happens. Okay, now press it again. There we go. Now press the top one, see what happens. There you go. Okay, now take that down, all right? Now press one of the middle ones. There you go. That's the clap. Okay.
Clap your hands now.
Okay,
people.
so
Clap
now we're going to introduce Jerry Fast Feet Fontanez. Give him a...
Hey! Live and
There
direct.
you go. Okay, Jerry, you're on, man. I gave you a little bit of an introduction, and I know Jerry's on his phone right now, just letting people know he's on. But Jerry, talk to the people and let them know who you are.
Well, my name is Jerry Fast Feet Fontanez. Now, the nickname Fast Feet comes from my mother. I asked her for a nickname, and she said, Fearless Fast Feet. That was on September 18th, 1981, because I came back from a martial arts tournament getting an autograph from the only person I asked for an autograph, which was Bill Superfoot Wallace. And at the time, Clyde Frazier and Dr. J were the biggest stars for me when it came to basketball. So, but that's used for both martial arts and b-boying or breaking or dancing. So part of both cultures, hip hop and martial arts, two cultures that I intertwined together via the Rocksteady crew back in the day, and also just being a person who wanted to change the industry of martial arts, because karate went from being cool to corny around the time I was 13 because I started meeting girlfriends, and that's where the energy comes in.
So let me ask you something, Jerry.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to call you Fast Feet. We're going to do Fast Feet from now on. So what is your official rank degree belt that you have?
All right, so technically speaking, the last degree that I obtained was a 9th degree black belt back in 1991 because I developed my own curriculum and style. However, a 10th degree is what a founder normally uses, but I refuse to do that because there has to be space for improvement. I don't believe in what would be perfection. So, at age 56, I'm considered a grandmaster of my own style, Fontanez Martial Arts, that was developed as far back as 1983. Really, throughout the years, has been changed, and I've added a whole bunch of elements to it, and it continues to progress. But my main thing is as a competitor. Now, my whole thing is, don't tell me, show me. So that's why there's highlight reels that are being expanded as we speak. And I would have been competing today, adding to the highlight reels, but God had a different plan.
Look at that. You're here.
And here we are, baby.
So the topic of the show is martial art and hip hop. So tell the people, what does martial art and hip hop, or how are they even combined?
Man.
What the hell, bro?
Bruce Lee, y'all. Now you know
Bruce Lee wasn't a rapper.
Bruce Lee was a hip hop before hip hop was hip hop. Because everyone wanted to be Bruce Lee. That guy there still gets props to this very day. Clap your hands now, people. Clap now, yeah. Props to Bruce Lee there. There you go. Because when it comes down to it, it was based on his attitude. So, but if we want to get specific in terms of history and hip hop, we have to go to, in the beginning, you had these New York City gangs. And one of the biggest ones, all city, was the Black Spades. Black Spades from Bronxdale Projects. And literally, Karate Pete, one of them, my brother Khalif, props to him. As far back as the Young Lords, with Hubert Camberling and Felipe Luciano, everybody. So martial arts has always been involved in what would be the inner city of New York City, and because we wanted to mimic Bruce Lee. When you talk about Grandmaster this and Master that, well, that comes from Kung Fu movies too. If you think about it, Grandmaster this and Grandmaster that's from Kung Fu movies. Master this, Master that, Kung Fu movies.
So all these grandmasters.
And so Grandmaster is a title for a person who developed his own curriculum, his own style.
Okay, I can see it.
Yeah. At the same time, you also have degrees like in school, right? So you get your bachelor's degree and then you get your master's degree. And they don't have a grandmaster's degree. They got a doctorate, but we use, some guys even use the word professor in their curriculums and systems.
Okay, so now since you talk about that, we have to definitely talk about the Wu, because the Wu, when they started off, they used all the martial arts movies from back in the days and applied that to a lot of their songs and videos and all that.
Yeah.
I think, what was their first album? What's the title of their first album?
It was 36 chambers or whatever chambers of Wu-Tang. You got a blank. I know it had to do with the chambers, which they meant 36 chambers of Shaolin Temple, which was Gordon Liu, who actually was a Chinese guy from Australia who did not 18.
Wait a minute, back up.
Yeah, yeah.
This guy was from Australia.
He relocated to Australia, Gordon Liu, but he started a movie called Master Killer. Master Killer had the 36 chambers of what would have been Shaolin Temple, and so there's different levels, and that's where they got their influence. But they're also training. They actually took martial arts lessons from a person who defected from Shaolin Temple, and they used him in music videos. You know,
Wow.
I'm going black on his name right now, but yeah, he's one of two of them. One was Gulen, and the other one was him. But yeah, but before that, way before that, are you kidding me? You had Crazy Eddie, who was dressed as the ninja. You know,
Who's Crazy Eddie?
Crazy Eddie was the DJ for the Fearless Four. Wasn't it Crazy Eddie and there's two of them.
So,
I'm going blank right now.
so somebody was actually dressing like a ninja
A whole bunch of people dressed like ninjas, cutting it up. The ninja cutting it up.
when hip hop first started.
In the beginning, whether it was in Brooklyn, martial arts has, put it like this. If we talk hip hop and you speak the Zulu Nation, you got Mr. Biggs, who was training right there in Bronx River Projects with a group called Wolfox. Wolfox were two brothers that ended up in the movie The Last Dragon, but their biggest claim to fame was putting together the Uptown Comedy Club, which again was the karate students that also became comedians. One of them, and there was a crazy legacy there too. So it's always been intertwined. Either even my man, your brother-in-law as we call them, Tila Rock, it's yours, was training in martial arts in Featherbed Lane. You know, I mentioned Raheem also in All the Ladies' Dream from the Furious, and also the Funky Four, the original Funky Four, right? Raheem. He trained in martial arts. I'm not sure with who, but he had his daughter in my school. And so again, martial arts has been always part of what would be the hip hop culture, because what made the Black Spades more confident was that they were kicking people in the head. Same thing with Karate Charlie and the Ghetto Brothers.
So this martial art title, Grandmaster, who took the first Grandmaster title and you applied it to their stage name or?
So the word Grandmaster in terms of in martial arts, the Korean stylists were the ones that used the word Grandmaster. So Grandmaster Supreme Grandmaster nowadays, rest in peace, Sang Soo Tiger Kim, my instructor, which was on Fordham Road, RKO Movie Theater above Weight Watchers during the 1970s. April 19th, 1976 is when I started training in the engineering. Now, he started in 1977, which is a little story that we have, but also at the same school. So Grandmaster comes from the Korean stylist of martial arts. And in terms of hip hop, then of course you had two Grandmasters that named themselves, which was Melly Mel and Cass.
So the Japanese know, the Chinese know, the Korean started the title Grandmaster.
Right, so now when you translate Grandmaster into what would be Korean, would be Kwajanim, and a master would be a Sabonim. But for some reason, the Koreans were smart enough, I gotta say it like that, to use what would be English to explain their title. So Grandmaster is also known as Shihan in Japanese. A sensei is a Sabonim or master, which they all really mean teachers, man.
So in other words, they were teachers, but their
Level.
title of respect was called like master.
Yeah. So it's the same thing. If you go right now, and just use one industry, and let's say that it's what would be doctors. Well, just because you got a doctorate makes you a doctor, but you're not no heart surgeon or brain surgeon.
You're not a specialist.
You're not a specialist. You haven't reached the high echelon. You might be a general practitioner, but you haven't really been what would have been, a specialist like you mentioned. So that's part of it. Plus, seniority also has to do with it. So props to great Grandmaster Aaron Banks, rest in peace, because he was the first person that says, let's look at this chronologically. If you have a father, then you have a grandfather, right? But after your grandfather, you have a great-grandfather. So he's the first one that started using the title of great-grandmaster, because he says, if I'm a grandmaster and my students become grandmasters, then didn't I just move up because of chronological? And it makes sense.
Right.
So he was the first person to implement that. And of course, people ridiculed their way back when, and now you hear, and they use that title quite often. So again, it's just based on respect and seniority.
So now that we know that the title, what it brings to, did the hip hop world understand the ramifications of the title attached to their DJ name or MC name or whatever? Did they really understand it, or was it the movie that just gave them like, yeah, I'm a grandmaster of?
Yeah. So I believe, and again, I could be wrong, but I strongly believe that when you have a teenager calling himself a grandmaster or anything, that's just based on braggadocious and saying I'm the best of my style. So they put themselves in position. Now, mind you, they might be, because if we take Melly Mel and Cash, combine the amount of rhymes that they have, that might be a few thousand or tens of thousands of rhymes throughout these years. 'Cause these guys never stop.
Right.
But no, initially what they were just doing is mimicking what would be a positional title. A master this, grandmaster that, and of course, and then from a grandmaster, I don't want to be a grandmaster, but I'll be a grand wizard because I'm doing some stuff on the turntable. So that added maybe some Harry Potter before Harry Potter was even around, right?
So like the Grand Wizard Theodore.
In the house, y'all. And then Stevie D, right? Grand Wizard Stevie D,
Right.
Grand Wizard.
So they now, did they
Rashid.
go into the Harry Potter world with that? Where did they get that from?
I think-
Because that didn't come from the martial arts,
No,
right?
I don't. But that came from the wizardry, because remember, if you think about, and again, guys, I could be wrong, but I strongly believe this because I just saw Grand Wizard Theodore about 4 weeks ago DJing and doing a set that was timeless, man. It was phenomenal at a B-boy battle in the Boogie Down Bronx, and so I believe that when he started doing the scratching, of course, he's the founder of that. It made him be what would be a creator or magic, meaning wizardry. So, but that's also, if you look at martial arts, when you're breaking boards and jumping here, that's like a freaking superhero / wizard too, because they do things like putting, like my instructor was putting irons off of spikes through his arm. And they used to put it through their cheeks, and they used to stand on swords and not get cut and all types of stuff. So that's almost like a, some wizardry there too, or magic.
So is there a grandmaster in dancing?
They don't use those titles in dancing per se, but there is grandmaster even in chess. That's the title that you reach, the
Right.
grandmaster of chess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now chess is as old as can be.
Yeah, and chess is also the art of war, because when you look at martial arts is based on the art of war, and you have the terrain, right? So in chess, what you're looking to do is flank, divide and conquer, and just get and beat the other side. So it's strategy. So a grandmaster has a strategy, and for the purpose of winning, but not just winning, looking good in the process. This is my definition of martial arts. Martial is military. Military means strategy, right? How to win as fast as possible with the least amount of what would be casualties, right? That's why sometimes we have to maybe drop a bomb because it'll save more people,
Right.
long term. But at the same time, you got to look good in the process. So martial arts to me is an oxymoron because they're opposites. One is linear, the other one's like all over the place.
Right.
But when you combine it, it really gives you the ability to work on both your left side of your brain and your right side of your brain, the linear side and also the creative side. So the totality of what would be the yin and yang, the opposites, the universal laws of opposites, kicks in when you involved in martial arts. But it also in everything else. Because you can't just be a hardcore DJ just cutting. You have to be able to blend,
Right.
and mix everything in too, and make the crowd move, right?
Yeah. So now there's so many techniques in using and I'm not even going to say a turntable now, because a lot of people are using different kind of components to mix now. So you have a controller, you have a mixer, you got samplers, you got all kind of different things now that you use to mix, and you could do what we call it like drop the needle, and you could stop it, and you could do the airplane effect for people that don't know what that is. That is two records simultaneously playing at the same time, two of the same record.
Welcome aboard, first go ahead. It's like 78. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
When you talk about airplane and hip hop, I think about a guy named Al Pizarro who broke this record out called Frisco Disco,
Yeah, long time ago.
1977.
Colorful record.
Yeah,
Nobody knew.
that was the flag. See, they knew about what's happening today before it happened.
That's right.
And also the Afro, that one of the guys that are related to who's the guy that did the big song with the Afro? The two brothers that are related to Barry Gordy, his grandsons. Come on, man. I know some. Anyway, we have to go back to that. We'll have to insert that. My brain goes crazy because I got A through Z.
We got to bring him back to 33. He's on 78
That's
right
what
now,
happened.
people. I told you this was going to happen.
Okay, so the bottom line is that the purpose of playing the music is to move the crowd, correct?
Right.
You use a variety of components to make that happen. When you're moving the crowd, that means you're having people march.
Right.
And if they march to the left and the right because you want them to go there, that means that you happen to be a grandmaster of the ability to motivate and guide and direct. Or maybe a wizard because you're having these people dancing and go to the left, to the right, to the front, to the back.
That record never dies.
No, it doesn't. No, and if you shake what your mama gave you, it doesn't either. Props to Sticky, 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 A.K.A. Rock.
So with martial arts and hip hop infiltrating the hip hop world, how did the martial artists feel about that title being used in that culture?
A lot of them didn't really interconnect. So it was like, so when you mention martial, even though they interconnect in terms of culture, there's only, you wouldn't get someone upset that, yo, why are they calling themselves grandmasters when they don't even do martial arts? That didn't really happen. I was the one of the people that started seeing the commonality of saying, because remember, a title, first and foremost, is not something you normally give yourself. It's what somebody recognizes you as. Like, you can't say, yo, I'm a legend. I can say I used to drive a legend.
Wait a minute, I hear that a lot though.
Yeah. But so when people say that to me in particular, and it's happened quite often, I say, well, I used to drive a legend by Acura in 1991. And yes, so I drove a legend, but in terms of earning what would be your status, that's somebody else naming you. And that's the way I see it. It's like when someone gives you a nickname. Usually someone has to give you a nickname, a padrino. You can't say, I'm a padrino. You know, somebody else gives it to you because they believe that you earned it. And then other people might sign off on it. But that wasn't the case in the beginning days and even to this very day right now, because you could become a multiple in the martial arts world, a multiple Hall of Famer, because you paid for the buffets and they gave you a trophy. So now you're in the Hall of Fame. For doing what? For paying for the buffet.
Well, look at this. Yesterday we had we did a great thing honoring a lot of the graffiti pioneers, and we had a panel first at MS 343 in the Bronx, and we had Coast was there, Steve Cass was there, Lucky Blings was there, Jerry Mays was there, and you were in the audience actually filming some of the stuff.
Leonto, right?
And who?
Leah.
And Leah was there also. So that panel was a array of different graffiti artists in different places of their career.
That was a rainbow, no doubt about it. Because what was fascinating to me was the values and the tenacity and all the other things that really makes up. Think about this. If I say to you, yo, man, that dude's a blackboard and cutting, you understand it means a high level, right?
Right.
You know, that person has skill sets to be the equivalent to what would be a master or a grandmaster. So if we were talking graph, you had a bunch of grandmasters in that place because they literally were able to just not portray their skills, but what led to it, completely going against the norm by using graffiti to get out of drug addiction.
Yeah.
By using graffiti to be able to, I mean, this guy did the whole piece, a big war for Jazzy J last year, right?
Last year.
And they
Steve
went
Cass.
over. So Street Cast, imagine this. He does this big, what we consider top to bottom piece, right? And then they threw up all on him. The next day he did it again. And then they did it again. He went back and did it again. And then he says he's gonna go back and do it again. In other words, as he's doing a big piece, they went over him. And it wasn't Cap this time in the movie Star Wars, right? Documentary 1981. And he still did it again and again and again. And they motivated the people who bear witness to that. This happened last year because he did not care that they tried to stop him. He said, I'm gonna make it bigger and better, bigger and better, bigger and better, bigger and better. And that is a characteristic of tenacity, right? That's right. Perseverance and tenacity. Yep. And you can get that from anything. It so happens that he's getting it from his expression and determination never to be stopped. Because hip hop, when you don't stop, That was phenomenal.
So through that panel, there's some similarities that I could say that will probably relate to martial arts. All right. The first thing is that you start with a white belt, I believe, right?
Yes, sir.
And
Excuse me. In the Japanese martial arts, in the Chinese, you start with the black
you start with a black.
and you work your way to the white. The Chinese do it the other way around, which is crazy. Because just about
Why?
What? Because they can, and actually they came before. So we want to get technical. The Chinese are documented to do their curriculum even before the not really the Japanese. It would have been the Okinawans. The Japanese get credit for what would be karate, but karate really means the way of the China hand originally. Karate, 2 characters, means the way of the China hand that they were training in Okinawa, which is multiple islands off of Nippon, which is mainland Japan. And they were doing a thing called Kempo, and Kempo really means fighting arts that comes from Shaolin. So it's politics all over again. In martial arts, as an example, when you have the high kicks, those high kicks were implemented from a style from France, of all places, called savate. Savate, which is French foot fighting that even Bruce Lee did.
As a matter of fact, don't they have a military?
Yes, you got it.
That they train them in that.
You got it. Right. The Foreign Legion has savate. And savate, oh, by the way, again, on a side note, with the ADHD, EFG, and all the letters in between, Z with me, they fly me out in November, Eric, to Laredo, Texas, to give me an award for the American Savate Federation Hall of Fame. They fly me out, and the way it's supposed to be, because I don't accept awards unless I earn them, and even then I don't want to go there.
We got Spider D that just said thank you for sharing.
Wow.
He's just checking out what we're doing right now.
That's the legendary Spider D there, boy. Awesome. Well, listen, again, what's martial arts about? What hip hop is about? It's about self-expression and expansion. You compete against yourself because it's about the battle. The life is about the battle. We all go through battles, trials and tribulations for the purpose of improvement because God does not give us anything we can't handle. So that being the case, hip hop, martial arts, finger painting, or what have you, excellence is really about self-battle, self-expression, self-improvement, and it takes self-discipline, and so on and so on.
And in the graffiti world, it's pretty evident because these guys started with probably a thought, an idea in their head, put it on paper probably, and then they went and did a piece. And that piece that they did, they put it out there like in different walls. Like some of the guys we met yesterday did it on trains.
It's the metaverse. You know why? Because what you just said, they had a picture in their mind's eye first.
Right.
That means that it happened at a dimension already, at a frequency level. Well, I'll get it deep. It's just a fact. So they had to see it before they put it down on paper and then use those notes to put it onto a variety of canvases.
Right.
Do you know what they are? Geniuses.
Yeah.
Because in order to come up with that mathematical equation to make something like that happen, if we would have
Right, because they didn't copy it.
No. They were one with the creator in an expression of whatever it was that they said. So it's a lot deeper. Listen, if we look at what would be in recent years, especially recent months, we are being enlightened to that there's different frequencies and levels and expressions, whether you call it multiverse or metaverse. Because the metaverse is the same exact thing, right? It's the virtual version of what would be our reality. And the matrix that we are part of, whether it's one that you believe in this being right or that, is really a different outlook or filter or level that you're at. So these graphs, so-called aerosol artists, these aerosol artists has been called by some geniuses because they were able to put together what would be anything. Because remember, when you did a piece, a Campbell canned soup piece, that was one of the biggest things we saw on the train back in the day. You know, Campbell, right? So to be able to picture something, take notes, create it, recreate it, that's genius. But
Yeah.
most of them don't even realize they were genius. You know why?
They're the Picassos of the graffiti world.
And no question about it, except that they themselves, and props to people like, rest in peace, Phase 2. Phase 2 invented the wild style, but Phase 2 also was a b-boy. Phase 2 was also what would be a promoter, and of course he was in some documentaries, and he was also in the back of my car. So I always felt freaking awesome because I was part of this culture in a variety of aspects of it. Same thing with Mr. Pizarro over here too. You know, we as artists literally reinvent ourselves and interconnect. Are you trying to do a copy, or are you trying to do an original? You're not trying to bite, are you? But you're trying to but you're able to work with all types of skills. How many? As a matter of fact, the engineer here, Eric, he used to write at one point. Do they use markers? Do you use fat markers? Did you make your own markers?
It's called mops.
Excuse me. See, so even the actual paintbrush was never consistent because it came from a variety of things. I mean, and making your own markers, which became industries years after. They didn't get paid the same thing like with the fat laces.
Because I remember they used to change. You know, when you, for example, if you guys use starch, when you starch your clothes and the tip, where you the nozzle where the spray is coming out from, they used to change that nozzle for the spray can in order to make it thicker.
Right. To fill in, to outline, to etc.
Big throw.
Big throw.
Fat caps.
Fat caps.
So there's a lot of techniques into the graffiti world that they
them.
use, you know. And now understand this: this is an expensive, you know, type of career, hobby, love, passion. Because the cans were
it was financed with a thing called
the 5 finger.
racking up.
The 5 finger.
Racking up.
You guys know what the 5 finger is?
Yeah, 5 Fingers of Death wasn't just a movie from Kung Fu, which was the first. By the way, the first international movie that's on the Lewis Paradise in 1971 was the 5 Fingers of Death. That was the first international movie. Yeah, so when you went there, you went racking, and some people were only involved because they were good at racking, and they can only do the fillers because they didn't really have. Imagine that you have to do this entire train or war while the cops are going to be coming at you, and the dogs and the lions and tigers and bears.
Because it was illegal then. It's still illegal, right?
It's illegal now. What are you talking about? It's called vandalizing.
But look, even though that is illegal, it is now, hip-hop is a phenomenon all over the world. So they look at these graffiti artists more as Picassos than doing something illegal.
How about this? If it wasn't for the aerosol artists / graffiti writers, they wouldn't be the variety of fonts that we have to this very day on right now on computers. They wouldn't even be there. Today, a graffiti artist, so to speak, could go online and freaking just use fonts that was invented by people. And I joked around, but it's a fact. Even when we made fat laces, you would take regular sneaker laces, wash them, expand them, and iron them to make them wider before the companies did it. And then some got so creative, they took the Fruit of the Loom underwear elastic and put that in there as the fattest ones because it was all about the battle and making things different. My British Walkers, I had some Britishers that were burgundy, but I had a black line down here. And not too many people saw that one. It was called Griffin. Put the Griffin and you remix it. And to this very day, don't they do that with sneakers right now?
Yeah,
They have a whole industry where they take sneakers and they airbrush them and so on and so forth. We had to do like a we were poor. And we needed new sneakers, so we had to remix the sneakers.
So
Creativity.
It's fascinating how martial art has had a big influence in hip hop in so many kind of different ways. But I want to break it down now. The discipline in martial arts, because you have to work out to be fit, to be able to do the techniques and skills. Because it was like, if I remember correctly, they'll show you a technique, and a technique is probably a set of different moves from beginning to end. And those techniques, once you master that one, they give you another technique to learn and another technique. So it may be a technique with the hands, it may be a technique with the feet, it may be a combo, it may be a couple of different things. So there's so many techniques, right? And then people are reinventing and inventing new techniques. This is what Bruce Lee did, because he invented his own style.
Well, what Bruce Lee did was he put together things that worked. Didn't matter what the origin was. He didn't care. He just used what worked and what didn't. At that given time, he didn't use it. So, but he also taught the concept of a daily decrease, not increase. So if you eliminate your bad habits, what you got left? You got good habits left. But going back to, in terms of structure of instruction, you have a thing called a kata, a ponce, a pattern. Which
A kata.
movement. A kata.
I heard about that.
Yeah. So what a kata is a prearranged, for argument's sake, let's just call that a dance. And there's a beginning, middle, end for the so-called dance,
Okay.
prearranged movement.
All right, for you B-boys out there, that's like, if you're competing with somebody,
Yeah.
you
got to have your 6-step. You got to have your 4-step. You got to have your chairs. You got to have your power moves. You got to have your freezes. And you have your exit, which is all based on style and flavor.
And for your DJs, when you start off, you're warming up the crowd, and then
That's
at
right.
12, 1 o'clock at night, you're going to hit them with everything you got.
Yeah, and then in between there, you're gonna test new things to see what it is, and if it doesn't work, you're gonna change that record real quick because you don't want to lose the crowd.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose the crowd. You want the crowd. And then some people might be lucky enough to put something like dum 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 and have to play that 3, 4, 5 times the same night because no one heard that beat and everyone went crazy.
Yeah.
Can you
Breaking
tell me,
a record.
Can you tell me that when you broke a record, what record in particular sticks out that might have been just like you had to just play it the rest of the night?
Bounce around skate row.
Bounce. Rock. We are skate key right now, and we're gonna.
Von Mason gave me that record, the test pressing, and nobody heard the record.
Wait. So you mean to tell me that you actually broke this other big? Actually, I didn't know about that one. So today we all learned.
I got a gold plaque for that.
Yeah,
Bounce around skate row.
What?
So Von Mason gave me this test pressing, and then when I heard the beat, I was like, "Holy crap!" So now I have the test pressing,
Whoa.
and I took the test pressing, and I'll bring it to somebody else so they could play it because
Gotcha.
I had the only test pressing.
Gotcha.
So they played it.
So let me ask you a question. Just because I don't know, when you say test pressing, is it an actual record?
So a test pressing is like when they make thousands of records, they do a test sample. They may do 10 of them, okay? And those 10 will go to the artist, the producer, the engineer, the record label,
So before they
and
actually
everybody.
put time and money and effort,
Because
in what would be a production.
Because let's say the highs are too high. Let's say that there's no bottom. You don't feel the bottom. Let's say they just did when you play the record. There's a skip.
You're looking for feedback.
You want to know all this stuff before you mass produce it. So
Gotcha.
some DJs,
So it's like a test reading too, right?
Right.
Like you're test reading. And
some DJs, very few DJs will get the test pressing.
Oh, so you had to have juice.
Oh hell yeah! 'Cause-
Oh,
So
connections,
if
right? All right.
And sometimes the guy will go and say, you have a guy come to the club or the radio station, depend what you were doing, and tell you, I got the test pressings of the cover girls in your song.
Yeah. Well, wait, 1 second, because you might know the history, and I apologize. Because there was a song that I heard on the radio for about 2 weeks, and we had no idea who was actually singing it until they finally said who it was. But it was Lisa's first song with Kojak. Do you have any history on that, man? Because that was, I wonder if I take you home.
Yeah, that was at Columbia. Yeah.
That's crazy, and full force.
Yeah.
Right? And they actually.
And it's funny because Full Force was out there for a while performing in different clubs and all that. But when they added Lisa into the combination and all that, they came out with that record.
The production.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
But she also crossed over to mainstream too, right?
But when you have a record that crosses over, you got to understand that some records were just confined to a certain
local
area.
Yep.
When they cross over, that artist gets to really is exposed to money in a way they never seen before.
But hold on a second.
And-
Hold on a second. When we see these so-called, when you say the crossover, I thought there was this magazine called Billboard magazine that actually had the top 100 maybe singles, and
Right.
and then maybe crossed over to some other categories.
Right. So Billboard, I was a Billboard reporter
What?
before.
You too?
Yeah.
Heck.
So
Jamaicans had 100 jobs. Al had 1,000 jobs.
So Billboard magazine, a lot of record stores, when they saw their top 100, if they didn't have a record on that was on their top, they order it. Say, I need that copy of this record right here that's on the Billboard Top 100. That's how influential Billboard was. But there were only, I believe, 50 reporters in the world. And you had to be, to be a Billboard reporter was something that the highest honor that a DJ can receive.
All right, so let me ask you a question. We're in the same room. Is that the group that develops the top 40 that spins onto the radio?
No.
Okay.
No.
This is even beforehand.
That's separate.
This is the first stages of what would be before they even get there.
Right.
In the beginning.
That's right. Because you also have to understand that they weren't DJs back then. They were air personalities that played a record.
Frankie Crocker.
All right.
And the company.
Okay, so they played a record. DJs came afterwards that mixed the record. And Red Alert is one of those few persons that started that thing.
By the way, that's
that's
Jazzy J.
Jazzy J cousin. And Jazzy J had to
taught him how to
give.
DJ.
Yeah.
Wait a second, that's another story.
So, just to give you an idea, I see we got somebody in the chat room there. Eric, can you take a look and see what you see there on the way to the right on the bottom?
Wait, what's that? What's that?
Rona? Mom?
Okay, so that's Nina?
Nina in the house.
Okay.
Yo. Nina,
Nina's in the house.
she did a
Shout
great
out to
job
Nina.
yesterday. Shout out to Nina.
Yep. So we have a new engineer here today.
Yeah, of course. But a slash graffiti writer who schooled us today.
It's this right here.
There you go.
Hey. So we're talking about breaking a record. We're talking about what would be the test, and you were explaining the top 100.
So they compiled all the information from all the DJs that they had, and they made this list. But they also did a retail list. They found out from the stores what's selling. So there was a combination of things happening with Billboard magazine that dictated the pace in a store, because they said, yo, everybody's buying our magazine and they're looking at the top 100 and they're trying to get all the records that are on the top 100.
And 1 second, this magazine, which was a pretty big newspaper, basically, came out every week.
Every week, Billboard magazine.
Every
huge. All right, and this, the way I became a reporter was unprecedented. You could not be a reporter and own a record pool.
There's a Shaw record?
This is when I was with Shaw Record
Okay.
Pool. You cannot be a reporter and be an owner of a record pool.
Forest Projects. Before Federal.
That's
Okay,
right.
okay.
So because they thought that you would be corrupted, and you would use that power
Right, you have a
to get
financial
more.
vested interest to get some juice and so on and so forth.
Right.
So, yeah.
So there was a conflict
Of
when
interest.
my name came up to make me a Billboard reporter, that they said, well, he's a pool director, he can't be that.
Too much power, man.
So Greg Rouse, Curtis Ubina, a couple of people, that's Emergency Records, that's Select Records. A couple of people got together and wrote letters to Billboard to say that this is the one guy that we feel will be the exception.
When you said Select Records, that's Chubb Rock,
Yep.
that's Kid and Play, and the group called ESP, because Professor Paul was my student. Another
There you
story,
go.
we'll get back
Yeah.
to that.
So that's how I became a Billboard reporter.
So again, when it comes down to it, that means you have been involved in different styles of martial arts, so-called entertainment industry. You wore a variety of hats.
Yeah.
So some people focus on one style, and that style
I think
might
somebody's
be,
at the door, Eric.
yeah, he's a doorman too, man. He's flexible.
He does many things.
Yes, that's right. That's what it takes. Make it happen. So the diversity is really important, because when it comes down to it, sometimes you have to reinvent yourself a few times over. And that's probably the biggest challenge. Most people just want to keep things on a consistent basis and just be pigeonholed. If you're not pigeonholed yourself, they try to pigeonhole you. But so that's what I was trying to say. They make a decision of which one you want to be. And you say, I'm yin and yang, I'm hip, I'm hop, I'm this and I'm that. Right?
Yeah.
So now did that create what were the new challenges that came about with now being an authority in what would be the authority magazine, while still being an influencer, giving and hooking up? Because when I saw this guy named Funkmaster Flex, he looked at you as, oh my God, thank you. You was the guy that, and he kept it real.
Yeah.
Same thing with, I mentioned me and Gene with the afro and so on and so forth. Because, guys, for what it was worth, I got his number sometimes, even though I keep learning new things too. But anyhow. So what kind of new challenges came about when you became that double-edged sword?
So I was getting records from everybody, man. It was, if I was getting 40 records a week then, I was getting 100 records a week now.
At your height, when were you the busiest? Was it VIP or Sure?
I would say Sure brought me to one level, and VIP brought me to the stratosphere.
In 1988, you guys started distributing some delicious vinyl.
Yeah.
And that time, Bust the Move was written, I should say, Wild Thing, which was written by a guy from Queens, Young MC, and Bust the Move. In there, you also had select records with back rapping. They would rhyme forward and then rhyme backwards, and that was 1987. So in 88, I was getting all these, what would have been garbage to the house DJs records because it was hip hop or the rap ones. Joey Llanos, props to him, and he was in the VIP record pool, and I got all those hip hop records because of him via you, for what it was worth.
It's funny that you say the challenges and all the things that I used to go through back then, because house music came out, freestyle music came out, and when
Hey, wait a second. I got to interject real quick. La India was the queen of both of these genres. Yes or no?
Yeah.
She had, people don't understand how many house records via her ex-husband and
Little Louis
partner,
Vega.
Kenny Dope too, right? What? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. I'm a martial artist, guys. It's the art of war. You got to learn everything. If you live in New York, you're supposed to be involved in everything, right? But La India, before she became the queen, or I should say the princess of salsa, she literally was a freestyle, one of the best singers. But in house, she sung so many records.
yeah,
And you was involved in.
yeah, because when house music came out, Judy Weinstein was the director for the record pool in Manhattan, and she was getting all the house music.
Wait a second. Whoa. Again, guys. Again, we're going to drift off the house for a second. Are we talking about Frankie Knuckles' house, Chicago, or Larry Levan in New York? Or
We're
combination
talking about
of
both.
That's right.
We're talking about both.
They all work together.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So when the house music came out, I was working at La Mirage.
Oh.
And
Lamis.
so I'm listening to T. Scott at Better Days, and I'm saying, what is this record he's playing? And I go upstairs to the booth. I said, T, what the hell is that? He said, this is a new jam I got. Jackmaster Farley. I said, yo, this thing is super hot.
Okay.
He said, where you get it from? And he said, I got it from the pool. I said, well, now I'm a pool owner. I said, what do you mean you got it from the pool?
I don't got it.
So that record was playing for a couple of weeks. And all the guys in Manhattan had it because they got it from Judy Weinstein's pool. And now my guys are saying, yo, Al, what's this house music we're getting? And Al was getting steamy.
Hold on a second. Just because I don't know. So, of course, New York City being New York, you have Manhattan DJs.
Yeah.
And we got Bronx and Brooklyn and Queens DJs. So, they interconnect sometimes, but the Manhattan DJ seems like they were part of another pool. Is that what it is?
Yeah, they were part of Judy Weinstein. The Hamptons, Fire Island, all the high disco clubs and everything was in Judy's pool. All right, before Judy's pool, it was The Loft. David Mancuso had a record pool. So that was before Judy's pool, but we're going far, far back.
Long time.
So I flew out to Chicago, and I said, I had a cousin over there. He just passed away about 4 years ago. And he had a record out called Gozalo, and the artist was Pizarro.
Oh.
And I thought somebody stole my name to use my name to catapult their career.
Right.
And I didn't know he was my cousin. And I had to go to Chicago.
He might be related to this guy over there somehow, maybe.
Absolutely. So I had to go to Chicago and stayed with him. And we got very, very close. And then he said, I said, well, I want to go to where these guys I had in. That was a record label called DJ International. And they told me, well, you want to go to the pressing plant? I said, hell yeah, let's go to the pressing plant. So I went to the pressing plant and met with
So
the owner.
the pressing plant is the actual factory where
they make the
press
records.
the vinyl, and
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah. So I went there, met Jack Master Farley and Maurice Joshua.
What you call it? What Farley? What is it? What's
Jack Master Farley.
Jack
Master
Jack
Farley.
Master. What's the master? That master?
No, producing house music.
So he was a
Yeah,
master at that too.
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Girl, I house you. You know, all that stuff. I mean, this,
Right. He
so
was the master,
and then
right?
Georgie Porgy and X-Man. I call him X-Man, but then Xavier Joshua. So all these guys are Grammy winners. You know, Grammy producers. These guys were doing some tracks, but back then they weren't.
So they'll probably-
back then.
they'll probably
so
be like
I left.
Madonna and people like that.
I must have left with about 50 different house records. Okay, when I went to Chicago, I went there with my luggage.
What year?
I don't remember.
See, I know you went, man. But we can figure it out chronologically. It would have to be late, early 80s.
So when I went to
early.
Chicago, I went with one suitcase. When I left Chicago, I had to pay for all the records that I had and send them separately because there were too many records for me to put in the plane.
And it would break,
And,
too.
you know, to carry.
They'll break also.
Yeah, so
It's vinyl.
so boxes on top of boxes on top of boxes. So when I went to my office to put it in the bins for the DJs, when they picked up the records, not only did they get the records for the week that they normally got,
again,
but they got
but-
like 40 different house records that nobody else had.
Right, but again, when we say in the office, you mean the apartment?
No, this
You
was
actually
out
had-
in the Grand Concourse.
Oh,
at
so
that
now
time.
we're talking about this is VIP now.
Yeah.
This is before the record label?
Right.
Okay, so that's late 80s, early 90s.
So with all this stuff happening, now all of a sudden I had a relationship with Chicago. So now I'm flying back and forth from Chicago, back and forth with these guys.
But this is before, obviously, this is before you go to Chicago and you do the hip hop label that you wasn't supposed to do because it's from the West Coast and they weren't
no,
bad boy.
this is
Yeah.
afterwards. This is, you know. And then what happened, we had the bass music from Florida. And Luke was coming out with that stuff. So I went to Florida for that.
And again, the foundation to bass music was one record. You know what that was? Rock, the planet rocked. They took that as the foundation, sped it up, put more bass to it, and so on and so forth. That's what I at least heard. But props to Luke
And, you know,
Campbell.
And Uncle Luke was an amazing host. I had a great time over there.
I think he's Haitian.
So, look,
he's Haitian.
we hooked up with Two Live Crew. They had their joint out there where they were performing.
And he had an Asian there that had an injury who was actually emceeing too.
Yeah.
That's something.
So it was a interesting career and life as far as just playing all these type of music. And the best experience was playing them in La Mirage.
Okay, you can see the
Well,
crowd.
where the audience was like flipping out because they got to see Information Society. They got to see Taylor Dane. They got to see TK,
Right,
the
et
Cover
cetera,
Girls.
et cetera,
you know, all
et
these
cetera.
artists performing there.
And,
with
One Day
regular
So
clubs
Fast.
that they play the records that they have to perform.
Strife.
Yeah.
Set it off on then. Anyway, Al, we were talking about graffiti.
And we went
We're
to
talking about
DJ.
martial arts. We're talking about DJ. It's all the art of war. It's all expression. It's all you go to wherever you have to make things happen. You're gonna learn every weapon. So a DJ in your case, you was just playing music, and the music is coming from a whole variety of things, and they were interconnecting each other.
Well, I always believe that a DJ should be versatile, not one set.
So you don't want to be pigeonholed.
So no, I didn't want. If you took me in a Latin club, I'll play Latin music. If you took me to a freestyle club, I'll play freestyle music. If you took me to a house club, I'll play house. And if you took me to a hip hop, I'll play hip hop. Whatever the case may be. I mean, I wasn't Jazzy J and Grandmaster Flash and all that stuff, but I had the joints.
Yeah, you had the tunes, according to Mean Gene. He had the afro and the tunes. Hey, so this is interesting because we had mentioned recently that a place we went to eat today was owned by a person who managed
Coro.
Coro. But Coro, I believe he was a backup singer for this other dude named Stevie B, unless I'm wrong, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me, Dougie Fresh? Yeah. So again, remember, and you know firsthand, and you might have had a little influence because you had house music and you had hip hop. Then all of a sudden we're hearing KYs and people like the hip house. What the heck was that about?
Yeah. Now, hip hop has joined the house music area, and this is what they did that was so interesting. Hip hop was not being played in clubs the way it should have been played in clubs.
I'll tell you why. Violence.
Well, what they thought hip hop. They thought hip hop was a violent type.
But it did. Just keep it real. It did become when the West Coast did what they said, and we wasn't allowed to do. And even what happened in the South, guys, I'm a little biased because we could not curse at a house jam when you MC. And all of a sudden, the records were cursing and talking all these explicit stuff. So they said, no, you guys cannot be involved in the clubs any longer. And then we blended it in by sneaking in through hip house.
Yep. And the Jungle Brothers are a perfect example of that.
Yeah, biggest hit. Rappers in our house.
And one
don't you know?
And one of the biggest songs that had the hip hop artist, a good friend of mine, is Freedom Williams. And Freedom Williams was with the CNC Music Factory, and that's a double, triple, quadruple platinum album.
Rest in peace of David Cole. What a wonderful person.
So all these things, I just felt that as a DJ, you should be able to combine it all.
And props to Robert Carrillas, who actually came back many years after with another anthem.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually helped him promote it for a little bit.
So,
Boricua.
yeah, so all these things is a combination of just being disciplined, passionate, and understanding that you see something that other people don't see. A DJ's gift in a club is to take that group of people and make them feel better than when they entered. Now, granted, you have some liquor to help you along. You may smoke some weed to help you along. You know, granted, but you're not gonna get from your seat or from the bar to the dance floor until you hear your joint. Until you hear that record, and you know what? And most of the time, the girl came and said, "Come on, come on, come on, that's my record right there."
Well, listen. What it is, it takes people who are going through, even right now, we're going through trials and tribulations, again, being tested, and you get a chance to escape.
Yeah.
To be able to be, it could be, so I loved when they would mix like oil and water sometimes, because for some reason you can hear a record where that was hot, and they would put a little loop of something that was old, and they just started just blending it in, you know, that was wonderful.
Or take a cappella or something.
Please
just
don't go.
Yeah.
The record came out twice, by the way.
Jimmy Castor Bunch must have been the most played record from the beginning of a set or in the middle of a set, just because they would be saying, you know, I'm going to take you back, way back into time.
Right, that hook there?
Yeah.
Wow.
So DJs would dissect records, movie clips, commercials, and all that, and start implementing it in their DJ sets.
You got to use what you got.
Yeah.
To get what you want.
And going back to the graffiti section, the graffiti portion was the visual part of what hip hop wanted to be. Like when you play music in a club, unless you record it, that mix that you did that night cannot be reproduced.
Gone.
It's done.
You didn't hit record?
Oh, man. So when you see the crowd go crazy because you did this mix that they just it exploded on the dance floor, you may not even remember the mix if you were high.
No, yeah.
You may not even remember the mix because you were caught up in the
a
music.
mistake happened. You really freestyled it, right? It's like the best dancing. You slipped. Oops.
And you got to remember that sometimes
fake it.
when you're a prominent DJ, somebody's gonna come to the booth and say, "Yo, check this out." A lot of DJs had a habit of saying, I'm not going to play that. I got to listen to it and check it out. I'll take it with me and I'll let you know. I was not that guy.
Yeah.
I was not. I would listen to a record in my headset while the people are dancing, and I'll be like, holy crap, we're playing this sucker right now, and throw that sucker right on.
Why?
Because I knew it was a hit.
No, once you heard it, but why then? How come you didn't have see, because today we met. We spoke yesterday.
Right.
How come we didn't meet 3 weeks from now?
Oh, because for those people that don't know, I'm spiritually inclined. I believe in the one God and all that. So God blessed me with the ability to be able to know. When you know, you know. So it's funny because I saw Jerry 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And in 2 days we've accomplished more. In 3 days we accomplished more than the last 9 months.
Yeah, but we always
Because
do.
God- yeah.
But we always do because
Yeah.
we're going in the spirit of, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's consistent. And that also means trust.
Yeah.
Whoa, it means faith.
Yeah.
So it means you also have to do what you can to get what you want because you're given the God-given skills to do it and respect.
Do
one
it
thing
and
we
watch
never
what
get
comes back.
Yeah, because you don't get time back.
No, time is gone.
And then we have regrets when we didn't utilize the time.
Would have, could have, should have.
And how many people, rest in peace, aren't here in this room anymore that you guys had a conversation about
Yeah.
in catching up in recent years
Yeah.
that you haven't been?
Yeah.
So bottom line is that's the art of war too.
Yeah.
See, in the art of war or in fighting, when I fight with people, I set them up to be able to be in my highlight reel. I can congratulate them sometimes too. Hey, listen, you're gonna be in my highlight reel if you cooperate. So what I do is I manipulate their breathing. Imagine getting hit between your breaths. Get a hit. Well, I want to increase your heart rate.
Well, you're gonna increase the heart rate, right?
But I'm saying I'm gonna increase the heart rate. So when you gasp, I catch you in between the gasp, and then I reposition where I'm not in the line of fire. So
But you know how much of a concentration that takes?
well, again,
Because everybody else is thinking about, I don't want to get hit.
no, exactly. So, but if you don't want to blank, you're gonna see that. It's like don't think the color blue now, and you're gonna see it. No, you have to have for singing, for DJing. How many times a guy was great in practice, and you might have maybe had him as an apprentice, but when it was time to perform, they choked, and then sometimes the opposite happened. They were horrible in practice, and when they went out there, they did some
They
magic
did their thing.
because they became one with the moment.
Yeah.
And that takes faith and a whole bunch of other stuff, which is what happened here today. I mean, did this take a turn for a whole bunch of freaking, fun and sharing and passion? For those
Look,
of you-
I'm a spontaneous person by nature, and I believe that God just gives you things, and there are opportunities that go like this. They pass you by. So many opportunities pass us by. If we don't go and grab them, because He says, "I have blessings for you. I have a room full." As soon as they pass by, you got to grab it. If you don't grab it, it's gone. You may not see the opportunity again for who knows how long. A year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Who the hell knows?
they say the river never stops for anybody.
Right.
The river does not. The flow
Just keep flowing.
it
Just keep flowing.
But they also says when the student is ready, the teacher shall appear.
Yeah.
And you also have to catch people where they're at.
Yeah. True.
We have a challenge at times to try to put people in positions where it's just not fair for them or you because you're not going to where they're at. It ain't where you're from, it's where you're
And
at.
sometimes people don't realize they have a skill until you put them in a position to for that skill to shine. That's what happened to Nena yesterday.
Yeah.
Nena yesterday was she's now the education director for Hip Hop Boulevard.
Again, props to Nena.
And-
And it's ironic that it's a Nena who's being like a mujer, right? Because response able, her ability to respond to what would be a situation and make the most of it. That makes you
Correct.
what would be mature.
Right. So I saw the skill, and I said, let's see if she can do this. And we told her, will you take this position?
It's called the setup.
Bam. And she did it.
For success.
And it's a testament to what you should be able to do with people around you. Everybody has a skill. Observe them, and you will see the skills as they come out. Somebody a great cooker.
Oh, wait,
somebody
wait,
could
wait,
clean.
Hold on a second. So you mean to tell me that as a coach, you don't make the first baseman to a catcher and the catcher into the pitcher and the pitcher into the you take their skill sets and put them accordingly?
Accordingly, but some people evolve and could be multi.
But no question. No.
Some people could do 2 or 3 or 4 things because you have plenty of people that were baseball players and switched to football,
Right.
or people basketball and switched to baseball.
Right.
Right?
And coaching, I just seen in situations where they have a great team, and let's just say for argument's sake that it's for baseball, but they making the best pitcher into the bat boy, and the bad boy should have been at center. And they had all the elements, but they did not know where to put them. So when someone shows, as an example, if I want to hire people to service, and that's what Southwest Airlines did. We put we're gonna say, everyone's gonna stand up and we're gonna say a little story, and they think they're gonna be judged by the story they said, but they're being judged by them being in the audience, sitting the edge and taking notes and listening to these people. So understanding people's skill sets and putting them in the right position, that in itself is genius, but that's what is needed.
You gotta listen. You gotta pay attention.
All the elements.
And you gotta watch out for the distractions, because the distractions make you lose the opportunities.
So distraction also could be, okay, so this is why I believe in black belt success cycle. Someone comes to my school, they want to become a black belt, but they don't really believe they can do that yet, but they want to try. Try is a noisy way of not doing something to me. So you try to touch my hand. No, I said try. You touched it, just try. And say I tried, so it's like a noisy way of not doing something in general. So someone comes in, and I said, this is what we're going to do.
Somebody just put something on the screen.
Hey. So this is the black belt success cycle. You got to know what you want. You got to have a plan. And the success coach, you got to take consistent action. You got to review your progress and renew your goals. And that's in anything.
Lazarus is out there. How you doing, Laz?
Yesterday too.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And that's
He was our
teamwork.
sponsor yesterday for the graffiti panel. Thank you so much for that. And we do a hot breakfast. And we wake everybody up in the morning. Saturday morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, we're doing a panel. All right. And I always believe that get up early to get it. Whatever you're going to do, get up early and get it. Do not stay in bed waiting for something to come to you. Get it. Go get it.
Did that come from the military?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they did, they
We got 2 minutes.
Listen, they didn't say get out of bed. They came and knocked the bed over.
Hey,
and said,
salute to all the veterans out
yeah,
there.
absolutely. So they said they knocked the bed over, and you had no choice but to get out of bed.
See, and again, so that culture created what would be habits that you have to this very day, and that's really the whole thing to it. Are we done? Are we on overtime right now? No. Okay, cool. But because the fact is that we'll be here till tomorrow. We really
Look,
can't.
we good in the game. We got somebody in the chat room.
Who that? Huh?
Renee Mickens.
Are you kidding?
Oh, Renee Minkett's in the house. There you go, Renee.
With the crown.
Yeah,
There you go.
props again. Are you kidding me? That
See,
lady-
and this is
No
exactly
joke.
what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that individuals have a talent, and when you see that talent, you have to let them go, let them grow in that talent, because you're
Get
gonna
out their
be
way.
amazed at what they do.
Get out their way.
Yeah, and when they start doing what they're doing, you not only are you amazed by it, but you're so proud of what they're doing.
Props to Renee. What a wonderful soul. That smile is enough, right?
Absolutely. So this was a great thing, and I know that everybody's probably surprised that Fast Feet's here,
I told you now we'll be around.
but the interview, the concept was martial art and hip hop. For those of you that missed the beginning segments of it, and talking about the graffiti panel that we had, and of course we gave our citations yesterday at I don't even know what to call it, because it was a mural, but it was all of them painting murals over there on 215th and Broadway. All the original pioneers, and they were doing their thing, man. We got pictures. We're going to be posting it up on the Hip Hop Boulevard Facebook group page, and on the website you're going to start seeing that. But it's
And then we drifted off to some El Padrino history. as I like
we
to call
talked
it.
about some
And
of
guys,
the,
listen, and again, this is just the honest truth. In recent years, I've been dealing with life, like most of us have, and now, again, we're praying for mom, of course, because we're dealing with some real new stuff. And I'll pop up. Last week I popped up because God said, "Hey, come over here," and I went through, and then I was gone again for a second, right?
Renee left you a message right there.
Hey, yeah, I think we're gonna work out soon. So, yeah, what Renee say? She said in the bottom.
Just put, yes, you did tell me.
Yeah. Told her yesterday. So lately I've been like the ninja. I pop up and I disappear. Pop up, disappear, and I have new numbers, so on and so forth. But I believe that the best is yet to come. And I've
Yeah.
seen so much progress. And I strongly believe that we, like you said, we're so diversified, potentially, that we can tap into a multitude of things. And it must be done because there's a lot of work that just not has been finished or
Right.
even done. And we
Right.
got to get busy. We don't got no time to waste.
Right.
So, that's what
So,
happened.
so we went to them, set up a table, and this is the best thing that I loved about DJing. That I DJed in my house and practiced. I went to the club and played.
Out the window, you
and
mean?
and out the window, put the speaker out and everything. But the best thing that I enjoyed about DJing was the fact that I could play whenever I wanted to play. And I feel that if we have citations for people and they're doing something, why not go to them and honor them at that time? So we did that to several people, and thank God that we did that.
You're
Yes,
catching Picasso as he's painting.
yeah, exactly.
That's incredible because that would have normally be stop doing what you do and come and be recognized here. And a lot of times they're uncomfortable because they don't even want to be in that environment. They want to be
Correct.
where they feel, oh, that's
Correct.
awesome. Wow.
So, like me and Renee went to Brooklyn to give a citation to Ahmed Rodriguez from Power 105.
Wow. Guys, when we say citation, we don't mean the ticket.
No, a certificate of merit.
Recognizing
Coming from
people.
a Bronx borough president, whether it been Ruben Diaz, who's passed, or Vanessa Gibson, which is the present. So there's a lot of things going on. We appreciate everybody that's been here today for the conversation.
Wait, 1 second. Let's think about this. We mentioned that these people who did the aerosol or graffiti, borderline being criminals with vandalizing. So you mean to tell me that in 2020, we are actually having them being recognized by authorities?
Yeah, absolutely.
What a concept.
You can't get a higher, you can't esteem a privilege like that. And they were surprised when they were getting it right there. And then they said, how about this person, that person? We said, write their name on the list.
Wait, so they wasn't hating on other people? They actually were saying,
Mentioning other people that deserved it.
spreading love.
Yeah.
What a concept.
And that's what we're about.
Hip Hop Boulevard, baby.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, guys, listen. Today, I get an opportunity to share some information and witness a variety of things. Even your cousin Eric here, who happens to be my friend since 1977, he's a person like a lot of people who works on schedules, so flexibility to him sometimes not easy. But we came, we saw, and we ate twice. And they were both good. We got the food to take home.
That's what's up.
Of all things.
Look, big shout out to Rock, who just made this thing happen today.
MC Steve,
And
no joke.
yeah,
Man.
big shout out. And we were able to break bread before we even came to the show and to produce the show and all that.
And 2 times.
So real good. I think, and I'm not gonna let the cat out of the bag, but I think you're gonna see more of Jerry, and you're gonna start to see Eric.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is that, guys, today they call it the present because it's a gift, and we have to be grateful because there's so many of our loved ones who are not witnessing it on Earth plane right now because we know that they're still here. You can't kill energy, and we miss them and we love them. Props to rest in peace to my baby brother and your baby sister because it's just about that time in a few hours, a few days. But we're here, Al.
Yeah,
We're here.
Absolutely,
Huh?
absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Nana, Lazarus,
awesome
Renee.
Oh my God.
You all in the chat room. Thank you so much for watching the conversation today. We were very busy this week with everything that we're doing, and last week with Rep Vegas and all. And get ready because the Hip Hop Boulevard Awards is coming in September. All right, we got some surprises happening in August. We got the Jazz DJ second annual festival happening in October. So, and a big shout out to Bruce Wayne and Coke LaRock and Lucky Bling and Steve Cass and all these guys.
That Coke LaRock again, I'm not joking. Like, what? He's always there. Like, this guy is always there. And yesterday he was there sleepwalking, and I acknowledged the fact because I said, man, I've seen Coke LaRock 9 out of 10 times at events that we have.
Yeah. the support comes out of love. The support comes genuinely.
He said, I'm Bronx born.
Yeah,
Bronx
and a big shout out to Eddie Rivera, who's in charge of the street team, and of course Scooter, and Sabrina. I don't want to miss anybody.
There's so many-
Lanita.
there's so many
people to thank.
The Hip
but-
Hop Boulevard family.
Yeah, it's growing. It's growing. So thank you all, and we will see you in 2 weeks from now with our next show. All right. Yeah, happy 4th of July and everything.
Hey, ABC, yeah.
No.
Well, let's start the show. All right, guys.